few days ago, I was at my daughter Gloria's first grade Veterans Day assembly. They called up every veteran in the room moms, dads, grandparents, and these little kids just sang their hearts out, off key, out of rhythm, and just perfect.
We're marching for our veterans to celebrate their service. We're marching for our veterans to celebrate them all.
But first, they asked everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, I know that's a complicated pledge for some people. America hasn't always lived up to its ideals, but it's meant as a rallying cry, a shared ritual that aims to transcend differences in background, language, faith. It teaches civic responsibility and honors national sacrifice and progress. If you've ever been in a classroom, we've all at some point stood up, hand on heart, and recited those lines. But have you ever paid attention to what it says? In our return episode of the Sexy Dad Joke Show last week, I talked about how we're all being played, how when we're divided, we're easier to control. And I talked about how we as a nation need to learn again how to, as Charlie Kirk put it, disagree agreeably. So when I stood up at my daughter's assembly, hand on heart, one line hit me hard. One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. My dad fought on Navy Swift boats in Vietnam. Here he is. He's a chief petty officer. There he is on the left. Or is that your left? No, yeah. That's him. This was one of the boats he was on. He was in the Navy, stationed at Pearl Harbor. And he saw things that haunted him literally until the day he died. He didn't talk about it much, but I do remember that he mentioned bullets whizzing past his head, inches from no longer living, me inches from never existing. On his deathbed, he was still back in combat, in terror, talking about Charlie in the jungle. My late brother served in the Navy as well. My great-grandfather fought in World War I. And my great-great-grandfather, Benjamin Franklin Henry, fought for the Union in the Civil War. A horrible conflict for both sides that was the bloodiest in U.S. history. He enlisted twice, which meant he didn't just serve, he believed. He was there at the surrender. He marched before President Lincoln at the victory parade. So when I hear the words one nation, indivisible, that's not just a line in a pledge to me. That's my family history. That's our country's soul. Indivisible literally means unable to be divided. And yet somehow we've made that a national pastime in this modern America. We treat division like it's fantasy football for the soul. Pick your team, trash the other side, and check the standings on cable news. And then you look at the headlines. Ugh. A president calling in generals to demand loyalty tests. Holding what looks less like a briefing and more like a kiss the ring ceremony. The guy who made The Apprentice is now literally auditioning the military. That's not leadership. That's dress up day at the Pentagon. And then there's the report about renaming the Defense Department the Department of War, because nothing says honor the troops like going from defending our country to a department focused on waging war. And now a government shutdown. Not some routine budget glitch, but a manufactured crisis engineered by Donnie Trump himself. He ordered it. He wanted it. Millions of veterans are missing their benefits. Families are literally going hungry. And his administration is fighting to block food assistance to our poorest and hungriest. Actually actively fighting in court, trying to block it. People who serve this country are being told to tighten their belts while he's out there obsessed with getting a stadium named after him. When veterans are starving and your big idea of legacy is branding an arena with your name, that's not leadership. That's a monument to your own emptiness. And now this man, this national embarrassment, I'm just going to call it how I see it, is literally tearing down the White House, the People's House, the same building generations of Americans have treated as sacred ground. All to build himself a ballroom. A ballroom. What have we been fighting for? For this? If anyone else had walked into our country and torn down the White House, it'd be World War III. My father faced enemy fire. He carried that trauma his entire life. It broke him down from the inside. I watched it. I lived it. And I felt the consequences of that. It shaped the way his kids grew up. 4 generations of my family have sacrificed for what that flag stands for: unity, dignity, democracy. And this is what it's come to? All that sacrifice for a man who treats the Oval Office like a vanity project? A mockery of everything they fought for. 4 generations of my family fought, believing this country was worth fighting for, worth dying for, because they believed that promise: liberty and justice for all. Not liberty and justice for whoever your algorithm tells you to hate. Not liberty and justice for whoever wins the ratings this week. For all. If we can't hold on to that, if we let ourselves be divided by the loudest voices and the cheapest lies, then what exactly are we pledging allegiance to? You ever notice how every headline says "a nation divided"? I'm starting to think we've all forgotten how to do the math. One nation, indivisible. That's the equation. So this Veterans Day, I'm thinking about what indivisible really means. It's not a word. It's a responsibility. It's the work of building bridges in a time when it's easier to burn them. It's the courage to stay human when the world keeps trying to turn us into hashtags. Veterans fought believing this place could live up to its ideals. Maybe our job now is to make it worthy of that sacrifice. One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.